This episode is brought to you by La Quinta by Wyndham. Your work can take you all over the place, like Texas. You've never been, but it's going to be great because you're staying at La Quinta by Wyndham. Their free Bright Side breakfast will give you energy for the day ahead. And after, you can unwind using their free high-speed Wi-Fi. Tonight, La Quinta. Tomorrow, you shine. Book your stay today at lq.com.
Today on CityCast Philly, the Philadelphia Housing Authority wants to build 70 affordable housing units on the former site of the University City townhomes in West Philadelphia. Problem is, the housing agency needs funding from the city to make this happen. And the project wasn't listed in Mayor Sherrell Parker's first budget proposal. I'm speaking with a housing reporter about the future of this project. It's Monday, May 20th. I'm Trenae Nuri, and here's what Philly's talking about. Aaron Moselle, housing reporter for WHYY's Play in Philly. Hey, Aaron.
Hey, Trenae, how are you?
Good. Aaron, this story just keeps coming back. Why does the site on 39th and Market Streets, formerly known as the University City townhomes, keep becoming such a complicated back and forth in Philly?
Yeah, I mean, this complex was opened about 40 years ago explicitly to provide affordable housing in University City at a time when homes were being demolished to make way for new development. And so ever since then, it has become, sort of this epicenter for the affordable housing conversation in Philadelphia, because as the years have gone by, the neighborhood, as many folks know, has changed quite a bit with the influence of the University of Pennsylvania and Drexel University to where we are today, where it is, a very gentrifying area where affordable housing is in very limited supply as home prices continue to skyrocket. And so when the owners announced in 2021 that they were not going to renew their contract with the federal government to maintain these homes as affordable housing, it set off alarm bells for housing activists and for politicians, because here was this kind of enclave of affordable housing in a very desirable neighborhood that was seemingly going to be lost.
Like you mentioned, this is all about affordable housing, but there was a settlement between this former site and the city, right?
That's right. The suit was filed by the owners of the complex after a city council member introduced legislation that barred them from demolishing the homes. They said that violated their constitutional right to sell the property because it's privately owned, and they were just agreeing to keep it affordable year after year by signing a contract with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. And so the owners filed suit, and a settlement that came out of that included that the city agreed to build 70 homes on this site, on a portion of the site that the owners would donate to the city. And so that was sort of the compromise, where the original University City townhomes were going to be demolished and have been demolished since then, but they were going to put back permanently affordable housing on part of the site, and the rest of the site could be used however the owners wanted the majority of the site, this 3-acre site at 39th and Market, right in the heart of University City. And so that's sort of where this dilemma comes up, because basically the city agreed in the courts to build these houses, and now there is no funding at the time to help build those. PHA has said, this is going to cost $14 million. They don't need all of that from the city, but they do need some city funds to do this project. And that was part of sort of the arrangement that they understood there to be. And even as late as, December of last year, just as, Mayor Jim Kenney was ending his second and final term, there was a correspondence between his administration and PHA saying, we firmly commit to $8 million. That money was never transferred, however, and so it's almost, as far as housing advocates are concerned, it's almost like we're kind of starting over, even though everything has already basically been agreed to.
So PHA never received the money.
That's right. So, and now it would be up to the Parker administration to, propose funding.
Before we get into more on this new proposed site, the 70 units of affordable housing, Aaron, I want to talk a little bit about the people who live there. I mean, being forced to move pretty quickly can be jarring.
Yeah, I mean, some of these folks, all of them are, working class or very low income residents, some of whom had lived there for years, most largely, an African American community at the University City townhomes, all had to take a housing voucher from the Philadelphia Housing Authority and do their best to find a place. And, to the owner's credit, they did allow considerable time for that process to happen. They didn't put anybody out on the street. They continually extended the deadline for people to move out because it can take quite a bit of time when you have a housing voucher to link up with a landlord on the private market to find housing. And so, they didn't go ahead with demolition until everybody was out. But yeah, it took some time, and it certainly was a lot of upheaval for the folks living there, particularly when you consider that, University City, as I said, is a desirable neighborhood, and other neighborhoods in Philly are not. And so, trying to use your voucher to find not only a place, but a place in a neighborhood that you want to live, was very challenging for a lot of folks. And if and when these homes are put back, these units are put back on this site, the folks who were displaced, they had first kind of dibs on these units. And, I talked to one tenant who, for her, that was sort of her plan. She was thinking about it. She's living down in Southwest Philly. She's living in a nice unit, but, living in University City near all those amenities, doctors' offices and the subway lines and everything else, is just a very connected part of the city, is still appealing to her. And now, she kind of feels like she's gotten the rug pulled out from under her because it's unclear if she's going to have that option. So for a lot of people, there's a lot of big question marks.
More on this affordable housing story in West Philly after the break.
At Evernorth Health Services, we believe costs shouldn't get in the way of life-changing care, and we're doing everything in our power to make it possible. Behavioral health solutions that also keep your projections at their best? It's possible. Pharmacy benefits that benefit your bottom line? It's possible. Complex specialty care that cares about your ROI? It's possible. Because we're already doing it. All while saving businesses billions. That's Wonder made possible. Learn more at evernorth.com/wonder.
Aaron, you just explained the story of property ownership, residents having to move, and a federal lawsuit settlement, all centered around the University City townhomes. What is standing in the way of the redevelopment of this site?
At this point, it comes down to money. I mean, the city has committed to building this housing. The owners have committed to donating the land to the city, a portion of the site to the city. But obviously this costs money, millions of dollars, and Philadelphia Housing Authority, who I should say have expressed interest in building these homes. Part of what they're expecting is the city to contribute on their end as well. And so the expectation was that this money would be in the first budget from Mayor Parker. It is not. It's unclear when it might show up. As far as I know, it is not part of her 5-year plan either. And so there's a lot of folks out there scratching their heads, including, the former tenants of the University City townhomes, as well as, City Councilwoman Jamie Gauthier, who helped broker this deal, wondering, where is this money? Basically, this is all promised out already. And so the Parker administration did not respond. They did respond, but they declined to comment for this particular story. And when the administration was asked in budget hearings, what's going on with this project, they would not commit to making it a priority, although they said that housing is a priority for the administration. And so that really leaves this whole project in limbo after all these years of people trying to find a place to live and a commitment from the owners in the city to, put back what was lost.
What's PHA's stance on this? How are they feeling with not seeing it in Mayor Parker's first budget?
I'm not sure. I mean, all I got from them was a statement that basically said, we're looking forward to, completing this project, and we need city funds to make that happen, which is all true. It's unclear exactly what is holding things up at this point. My understanding is that the land has not yet been formally transferred to the city. It could have something to do with that. But it's really hard to know because while there are some details around what seemingly fell apart, we don't have the full picture.
Aaron, if this project wasn't included in Mayor Parker's first budget proposal, are there other ideas for the use of this land floating around?
Not that I know of. I mean, this is a part of a legal settlement. So the city is required to build these homes as per this, legal settlement in federal court. The fact that the money is not proposed in Parker's first budget doesn't mean that it won't end up in the final budget that City Council must pass before the end of the fiscal year at the end of June. This is something that could get in through negotiations, through bargaining, but it leaves the project in a precarious situation because it's easier when you're doing budget negotiations when both parties want something to happen. And so this creates sort of an uphill battle in some ways for city council members to push for this money to be included in the upcoming budget.
And going back to that budget proposal, was there any indication from the Parker administration that they were focused, or was affordable housing part of their priorities?
Yeah, so look, I mean, on the campaign trail, Mayor Parker repeatedly said that she wanted to build 30,000 units of affordable housing. Once she got in office, that definition has shifted a bit. So now she wants to build 30,000 units of housing, whether they are market rate or affordable. But, anyone looking at this story may say, this is a little bit confusing. Here you have a mayor who has, talked about building houses and housing and talked about affordable housing being a priority of her administration. And here you have an opportunity to build 70 units of affordable housing, and there is no money for it. And so there's sort of a disconnect there that, as I said, is leaving people frustrated, is leaving people angry and confused about what exactly is going on here.
All right. That was Aaron Moselle, housing reporter at WHYY's Plan Philly. Aaron, great talking with you.
Yep. Thanks so much, Trinae.
You can read Aaron's full story and other reporting on this topic by checking out the links in our show notes. That's all for today here on CityCast Philly. If you enjoyed this episode about the future of this affordable housing project, share this with your neighbor. Rate the show, leave us a review, and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to sign up for our morning newsletter, Hey Philly, to learn more about what else Philly's talking about. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Bye.